All right, Bart with Bicycle Rider TV, and I'm going to answer a viewer question that I thought was pretty clever about fitting between a mountain bike and a gravel bike. And I have a viewer that is primarily a mountain biker like myself, but has bought a gravel bike to do some training on and explore the gravel. And he says he's just not comfortable, in the cockpit. And I can see why, because when I've got both bikes side by side, and I'm kind of fortunate that I switch bikes quite often. So I'm kind of used to going from one bike straight to another bike, and it doesn't really affect me much. But when I start thinking about it, it is quite a bit different. So I understand the question. I was going to do a couple quick measurements, and this is a trail bike I've been riding, and I've got a little bit wider bars on my trail bike than I do my race bike. So I'm right at 29 inches. And I'm not a real big guy. I'm 5'9", about 150 pounds, and I'd say I probably have about average shoulder and arms, so I'm pretty easily fit on a bike. My wife measured me from the back to back the other night, and I was 27 inches. So that means my bars are a little bit wider than my shoulders. And that puts me in a kind of a nice comfortable position. Let me see if I can get here in the camera when I'm on my bike. And I've noticed, when this bike, I actually cut about an inch off each side of this bar, but I'm used to a smaller bar on my cross-country bike. So when I cut an inch off on each side, I still felt like I was on a pretty wide bar compared to my cross-country bike. But on a mountain bike like this that is designed for a little bit more trail than just cross-country, there's going to be a little bit more weight involved with this bike, so I need a little bit more leverage to throw this bike around a little bit. So with more weight and more tire, you need more leverage, so don't cut your bars down too short. And some of that has to do with your shoulder width. So if I'm 27 inches in the shoulder and I'm 29 inches in the bar, that just kind of gives you a reference point to maybe how you can measure your shoulders compared to your bar. And this really seems to be a pretty good situation. And I've been spending a lot of time on the trail bike, so when I did get on my mountain bike the other day, I almost felt like my bars were a little bit short, but it didn't take long and I was used to them. But this is how a lot of people are used to riding. So it is strange when you get on a drop bar, and I'm going to demonstrate that right now for you, that how a mountain bike position is different than a gravel bike position, or you could even call this a road bike if you want, but the gravel bike I think is what more people are interested in, especially if you're coming off a mountain bike. It's nice to have a gravel bike. And let me just get a quick measurement on these bars here. This is 17 inches basically at the top, and with most gravel bars there's going to be a flare at the bottom. So I've got 19 inches at the bottom of the flare. So that that gives you about a 2-inch difference from what you have here to what you have here. And I'm finding out that is a really comfortable bar. This is a short drop bar. So most mountain bikes or most road bikes are going to have maybe a deeper dish in the drop, where gravel bikes seem to be shorter and more flared out. Now I've been on some flared out bars that just felt uncomfortable to me because they were over flared. So this is a stock felt Brome adventure bike, and I seem to like stock bars because they're not overly flared. Maybe after you get more used to gravel bike and you want a little bit more flare, it feels natural, but it just doesn't feel natural to me at the moment. So I can really see this viewer's, I don't know, dilemma when he gets on this, because I'm going to say, I don't know how wide his mountain bike bars are, but he's probably out here, so he's got maybe an inch or 2 or 3 more bar than he is in here. So he might feel a little bit cramped up on the tops. And this is where a mountain biker is going to grab up here because we're used to a flat bar, and this is where you get your line of sight. But as you start getting more into the drops and a little bit more flare, you should start to feel a little bit more comfortable. And just know it is completely different bike. So it is going to have a different feel to it. So you're not going to have the same feel on your mountain bike that you are on your gravel bike or a drop bar bike. But just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad. So you know, sometimes you know, you could think it's the bar that feels weird, but you know, check your stem angle. If all of a sudden you want to, you know, you're going from a mountain bike and you want to slam your stem, you know, because that's what racers do, then you know that's going to feel kind of weird, and maybe put some different you know, feelings in your shoulders that aren't quite pleasant. So you know, don't slam your neck right away, and just, you know, get used to the feel of a drop bar. It is going to be different, but if you stay within about the parameters of your body, and you know, if you have a 19-inch shoulder width compared to my 17, and you're on a really skinner bar, then you know, you might need a little bit wider bar to feel comfortable. But it is going to feel different, but just, you know, just hang with it, and I think you're really going to like it, because it's nice being able to put the training miles and the road miles on a more of a drop bar bike than it is the mountain bike, and it keeps your mountain bike fresh for other things. So as far as fit goes, it is going to be a little bit different. I think one of the advantages with a gravel bike is you have more of an upright position in the neck, and that's really sweet. I'm going to get my cameraman's bike out here, the Marin Four Corners, and I think this is a pretty slick bike here for someone that's trying to make the transition. And one of the reasons I really like the Four Corners, it's got an extra long head tube. So even though it does have a drop bar on it, with this long head tube, it makes maybe a mountain biker or someone that's coming from a commuter biker feel a lot more comfortable. And I don't know, this bike just really feels comfortable to me. I really like having this long head tube, because that makes my body geometry a lot more comfortable. Even in the drops I'm comfortable, but if I get up here on the hoods, I just feel at home on this bike. So I really think Marin has built a sweet bike, and I don't see many bikes with a real long head tube like that. So if you're a mountain biker that's considering a gravel bike, you might almost want to look at something with a more friendly geometry. Sometimes it's hard to go straight to a road bike, and I know some mountain bikers that, you know, when you talk about a road bike, but you know, with the gravel bike scene coming on, it's kind of nice to be able to jump those lines. And I'm seeing a lot of mountain bikers that didn't want road bikes get gravel bikes, and I'm seeing a lot of road bikers that didn't want mountain bikes get gravel bikes. So I think gravel bikes are going to be a pretty sweet situation for all us cyclists to come together. So just know it's going to feel a little bit different, but it's not bad. And as I'm looking at Gary's bars on his bike, he's got a real neat situation where his drops are pretty long. The hoods don't stop here. They extend all the way back. So, you know, that might be pretty important in being able, for a mountain biker that's used to a wider stance, to be able to come out here and get that wide stance. Instead of like this, you're getting it like this, but you're still nice and wide. So, you know, check your shoulder widths. Just do some rudimentary, you know, measurements. I like inches rather than centimeters. So don't be scared to, you know, convert your 44 millimeter to something you can understand, like, you know, 17 inches. So, you know, for us to live in the United States, just, you know, convert to inches and see what works good. It doesn't have to be on the money, but, you know, just a couple inches longer or wider than your shoulders is usually, you know, keeps you in check. And sometimes just realize you have to maybe put a little bit more leverage into a bar that doesn't have as much leverage. You're going to have to be the leverage. Where, you know, a mountain bike bar that's, you know, 29 inches long, you got a lot of natural leverage going on there. When you're on a drop bar that's only 18 inches, you're going to have to do some of the work. So don't be scared to, you know, put some monkey into it. But don't be scared not to try it, because it's great being able to jump back and forth, and before you know it, even if it feels weird at first, give it a little bit of time and it's going to start feeling natural to you. And it really does open up a lot of doors having, you know, more than one bike. So for the mountain bikers that are having trouble getting comfortable on a road bike or a gravel bike, just give it a little bit of time, do some quick measurements, and I think you'll hit it pretty quickly. And vice versa for guys that are coming off a road bike and all of a sudden they're on a mountain bike, you know, it feels weird to them too. So, you know, y'all give each other a little chance to play nice together, and pretty soon we're going to have one big happy cycling world. All right, well, thank you.